be honest with yourself. When was the last time you played Overwatch with full voice comms and in a group? Now, okay, you may have played, let's say, your last game. You played with a friend and that was great. But how often does this happen in matches? The reality is, and this is a bit of a bombshell, but Overwatch really is a bit of a solo game, really. I know there's team tactics, but when you are playing Overwatch, you are playing on your own. You're hoping players on your team don't throw. You're also hoping that you get maybe a favorable map that you enjoy and you get a good team comp, and then you can just go from there. Now, this is a problem, isn't it? Because I think a lot of people, myself included, I am definitely guilty of this. I have got this very idealistic view of Overwatch being this game where it's all about teamwork. It's about execution of plans. It's about everyone in voice chat. It's about everybody communicating. And the reality is, when you do get those games of Overwatch, they are awesome. They are, in fact, the quintessential version of Overwatch. Everyone's in voice comms. People are changing their heroes as required. Your team are executing attacks, coordinated, all of that stuff. That is fantastic. Everyone's calling out crucial information. Tracer, no rewind. Zarya's got no bubbles. The list goes on and on and on. The thing is, how many... Blizzard have got the stats. And how many games have we played and that's happened? I can't tell you the last game I played in where everyone was in voice comms. Now, I do have a little bit of a get-out clause here. I do play on the EU servers, so not everybody speaks English. People do speak English more often than not, but you can get times where people maybe are a bit direct. They're not as soft over the voice comms, let's say. You get people maybe not wanting to take part in voice comms. I mean, you can go and fire up Twitch and look at streamers, and you'll see a majority of them are actually playing music when they're playing Overwatch. They're not really communicating too much with their team. Yeah, they do sometimes, and arguably, again, using streamers as an example, the best streamer content on Twitch is when they're all playing together, and you get to experience that sort of, oh, look at these guys, they're all having a great time together. And that's when Overwatch is at its greatest. But the reality is, that isn't the game, is it? That's not the game we've been playing for a long time. So what I want to do is take a look at some stuff here. And the first place we're going to start is with a tweet from Dante. Now, this is what kicked off this video, to be honest, because this is such a good tweet. This is like, it's so good, because it got me sitting back, and I went, yeah, what the hell, yeah. Like, we can sit here and go, I want Overwatch to be this awesome, idealistic, team-based hero shooter, and it's great, but really, is it? So this is what he says. They're ruining the team play aspect of Overwatch that we love. Meanwhile, every game, there are two people in voice and two words said the whole match. The team play may have been ruined long ago, guys. If you're gonna complain about the change, at least complain about reasonable things like flankers being OP with regen, not some brain-dead hive mind, no team play. This changes your support looking at you once in a while. How is that detrimental to team play? The thing ruining team play is 5v5 and all of the new hero designs. Where is the team play in ground tanks like Orisa, who are just deathmatch warriors? Where is the team play in Kiriko when you are meant to flank and DPS as a support? Same exact thing with Iliari. And I think, fair enough. Obviously, the original comment, this comment here, I think is what I'm mainly focusing on. The team play of Overwatch, it went a long time ago for almost every single game that we play. And here's the thing, right? Blizzard have got to try and balance keeping players in the game. And in previous videos, I've said maybe this is more slanted towards keeping newer players engaged in the game. But the more I think about this, and the more I think about what makes me stop playing Overwatch, it's generally when you have a bad game. And what's a bad game? Well, you can blame the matchmaker, you can blame your teammates, whatever. But you don't generally quit after a match where you've had a ton of voice comms here and the game feels awesome. That's the issue with Overwatch. That's when the game feels awesome, and that's what everybody remembers. People don't remember the 80, 85, 90% of games where there is no chat at all, there's no voice comms, and you're just sort of doing whatever you're doing. Yeah, you might be having a good time, you might even be listening to music, which, by the way, I mean, I'm guilty of this myself as well, but it's kind of a bad thing to do in Overwatch if you're playing really serious, because the sound in Overwatch is so awesome and it gives you so much information. You probably shouldn't be pumping music, but like I do it, so this is the world that we live in. They've got a team-based hero shooter where almost everyone is solo queuing. There is no way of playing as a team in any kind of structured way, which I think is a bit of a failing of Overwatch. Although, remember when they brought out the team finder, or the group finder, which has been removed for Overwatch 2, which really they should have surely just kept that, but whatever. They removed it because nobody was playing with it. Nobody was using it because it took too much time. And this is the issue again we've got in this world where people will not sit down and find a team for 15, 20 minutes and play a game. They want the game right away. People will sit in a queue. If the queue goes over 2 minutes, they'll leave. This is what happens with modern games. It's all right for me. I'm literally a boomer at this point. I can sit here and go, well, back in my day, I remember using GameSpy and All See and I. Nobody knows what I'm talking about. And if you do, shout out to you because you're the real ones. But we spent ages trying to find servers to play on. And then when we found a good server, we'd keep connecting to that server over and over again. We'd start forming friendship groups and everything, and then we'd start building teams. I used to play a lot of Day of Defeat back in the day, which was a Half-Life mod, a World War II mod. Fantastic game. Avalanche, incredible map. And like, you don't get that in modern games, right? Because the attention span is way too short. And it's not really the fault of like modern gamers. It's because there's so much to do, right? Why would I sit in a queue in Overwatch when I could just go and play a different game? This is the problem. Or even watch Netflix or something else. Often, we forget that games compete with everything. It isn't just like Overwatch versus Valorant. It's like Overwatch versus, Valorant, Apex, insert all the other games here. Then all kinds of different games, any other live service game. And then what about other media? Because they're all fighting for your time. It's a really, really wild thing. Anyway, what I want to do is jump over to Aaron Keller now. Because this was flagged on Reddit. And this is Aaron Keller's official Twitter account. And I'm not entirely sure if it's Aaron who runs this in its entirety. I believe it is, but I believe he's probably having his posts checked before they go out. But he likes posts every now and again. Some of them are quite interesting. So he's like this post from Alec Dawson. We've covered this in a previous vid, but it's basically just going over the state of the mid-season balance patch. But this is the interesting one. So this is from Guru, and great streamer as well, content creator. And we'll read this off, and then we'll try and work out why he's like this, because I think it's quite clear why he's liked it. And I will jump over to this blog to show you this as well, because this, well, in fact, I'll read this now, but this will make a lot of sense. So one of the biggest values the team is trying to improve is Overwatch's individual and team-focused gameplay to meet the needs of our core audience, because the core audience are solo queue warriors, whether that's in quick play, whether that's in comp, whether that's in arcade. And this is the reality that I'm slowly getting to grips to. And I think the Overwatch team have realized this for a while, and they're just sort of throwing this out there. But again, the issue is they've got loads of people who have got a very idealistic view of Overwatch, because it is the best game in the world when it is played full voice comms, full team. I mean, I've always said, I've said this in loads of videos, but I played in this again goes to show this was literally 2017. No, it might have been 2016, and I was playing in, I can't even remember what it was. I think it was an ESL. There were like ESL weekly cups for Overwatch, and we had a team and we played in that, and it was amazing. We weren't the best, obviously, but it was amazing because it was coordinated. That is where Overwatch is incredible. But reality of people, the reality is people are just in solo queue. Anyway, what Guru says is this. There's really only ever been 2 seasons of Overwatch 1 and 2. Everything patch in between has realistically been minor updates and tweaks to specific heroes without addressing the game as a whole. I've been saying since season 9 is basically Overwatch 3. This is the first time we see an overhaul of the whole game, adding passive healing for each role, stacking in GM Plus, and more unannounced changes. Surely is going to completely change how the game is played. This monumental patch is exactly what Blizzard needs to do to compete with other games. You are playing a new version of the same game for the first time since Overwatch 2. I'm telling you, this is a new era, and you will need to adjust. I think we are going to see a lot of new faces at high SR. Some of you might not be able to keep your rank. League of Legends, for example, gets one of these updates every year, a patch that quite literally changes the game. I think about how long Overwatch has been, pretty much the same. Seasons mean nothing in Overwatch at the moment. A new season in LoL means a dozen new characters that haven't been played in years are now viable. It might not feel so terrible having a Mercy Lucio on your team. Lately, I've heard DPS and support players complain that their roles aren't as impactful as in Overwatch 1. They can't pop off as much. This patch is targeted at you. You will no longer need to rely on supports to be near you in order to take a fight. Supports can focus more on damage rather than healing. They were doing this anyway. Chunking an enemy now means there is more of a reason to hard engage. As for tanks, all I'm saying is I'm setting up camp in the enemy spawn with Queen. I was doing this before. Oftentimes, in order to secure a kill, all someone had to do is sit on a health pack. That's no longer the only option. You'll have to cover the pack while not letting their health regen. Consider how much differently First Point Junkertown will be to play out. I'm excited, man. There are more options now. There is more power in the individual. You have more resources to use. Okay, so Aaron Keller liked that. And why did Aaron Keller like that? Well, if we jump over to this, I think this entire section here, it does sort of sum it up. So we'll go over it again. Because what we're looking at here is a change in Overwatch to try and, I think, instead of them, well, let me just wax lyrical here for a bit, but instead of them going, okay, Overwatch is this idealistic team-based shooter, actually is it? And look at our player base that we've got, and we need to service them. So this goes contrary to what I've been saying for a while, where I think they're trying to service new players. But I think this kind of maybe kills two birds with one stone. You know, it is looking after people who've been playing the game by giving them, well, giving them more agency, right? Making it a more solo-focused game, but there will still be times where you will get this whole awesome team experience. And of course, this is all in relation to the Season 9 changes as well, guys. Like the passive regen coming to every single hero, but it won't be as strong for supports and tanks as it is for supports. And apparently there's a whole host of other changes, which I have personally got no idea what these changes are. Maybe there's people out there that do. I don't know. I don't know what any of them are. I'm only basing this off anything that's public, which is the only thing I've seen in relation to Season 9. So, you know, it's an interesting one. But anyway, look at this section. One of the biggest values of the team is to improve Overwatch's individual and team-focused gameplay to meet the needs of our core audience. When I look at the future of Overwatch a year or two out, I don't see the exact same game that we're playing now, but with a few more heroes and maps added to it. The game should always evolve with new systems and features that serve our players. You see what I mean? Again, it's this, we're serving our players, core audience. It's solo queue players. Some of these could be larger systems that define the way players interact with the game, such as our competitive system. Again, this is being reworked in Season 9. And some of these changes could be within a match itself. Modifications to the moment-to-moment gameplay. This last part, what I'd like to talk about today, additional director's takes will take other parts of the game that I mentioned, such as our competitive system, hero balance, and economy. I'd like to take some time to talk about the future, about future events and limited time game modes, blah, 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 blah. So this next section is also worth reading off. So let's get into Overwatch gameplay. Starting with the obvious, Overwatch is a team-based, hero-based multiplayer competitive shooter. Heroes, maps, and game modes are all designed to require teams to work together in order to successfully win a match. When a team works together, each player using their hero to their fullest potential while relying on each other to execute strategy, the game feels magical. When everyone's in voice comms and all working together, that's what he's not put in there because he knows that's not how the game's being played. And this can happen, I guess, randomly, I suppose. Everyone's just playing well and the game feels great. But I think this thing here... actually, let's just carry on before we start breaking this down again. There's really no other FPS like it. However, when this isn't happening and players are all working on their own, the game is far from magical and can become frustrating. The reliance on teammates can simultaneously be one of the best and worst attributes of the game. That is completely true. We want to improve this. We want to improve this by looking at the game through the lens of teamwork and make it easy for players to be part of the team while also lessening some of the pain when it's not happening. In fact, a lot of our goals for improving the core game stems from looking at Overwatch as a whole, improving parts of the game that are working and finding fixes that are not. So this line here, we want to improve this. We want to improve this by looking at the game through the lens of teamwork and make it easier for players to be part of a team while also lessening some of the pain when it's not happening. And this is one of the reasons why we are getting the passive for DPS and tanks being healed. Mainly for DPS, I would say this is going to be a much more of an impact because there are moments where you need healing and your supports, they either fail to heal you or they're busy doing something else and then you die. This new Season 9 world of Overwatch is very much going to be like, I don't need my Ana to pocket me. Well, not pocket me, but I don't need to run back to my Ana to get into line of sight for it to heal me. I can just sort of sit on the flank for a few seconds. Again, I don't know what the figures are for the healing, but it's not going to be like Call of Duty levels, and we know it's going to be lower than the support passive. But it's probably going to be fast enough that you can just skulk away, get the heal, then get them back into the fight. And what does that do to the supports? Again, I'm using Anna as the example here, but it means that Anna doesn't have to reposition to find you as often as she would need to. It means she can focus on what's going on in the fight. It means she can focus on healing the tanks maybe, or healing the other support, or supporting in terms of not actually healing, but doing damage or using utility. That is going to be a massive monumental shift in this game. It's going to give players... well, you know what? I think a good point here is I think actually going back to what Dante said here, again, this is a great point here. Looking at new hero designs, you know, these heroes may have been designed for the changes that are coming to the game now, which does link into the Guru tweet that Aaron Keller has liked, saying that, hey, this is the sort of like the next version of Overwatch. It's going to be radically different than it was. Maybe he's got more information, I don't know, but I think what is interesting here is this idea of the new heroes are all way more self-sufficient than every hero that's kind of come before them. Kiriko being the sort of epitome of that. She is wildishly self-sufficient and can do everything. Damage, mobility, healing. She's got awesome utility, great ultimate. She's really, really strong. And is this what we want? Now, the other sort of angle of this is going down the path of this is a complete reduction of trying to develop the game for a team-based environment. It is saying what we're going to do now is empower the individual player. And in those moments where teams do click and work together, yeah, it'll still feel great. It'll feel maybe like the Overwatch that everyone longs after. But the reality is that doesn't happen in our games. So we're just going to service the match-to-match quality. And the way of doing that is to maybe even speed up the game, like we're seeing it with the quicker play test at the moment. Definitely giving the heal passive to DPS a massive change. Again, it will work for some tanks as well. Think about Wrecking Ball. It will be quite helpful for him because he's not always near his healers. Instead of relying on having to play with health packs, he can sort of also rely on just not being involved in a fight and also healing himself that way. You know, and again, I said things like, look at Tracer, look at Sombra. They're heroes that were designed without a self-heal. Give them a self-heal. Are we going into a world where Tracer's going to become the de facto DPS everywhere? I think Sojourn's really going to benefit from this as well. High mobility. I think even, let's be honest, Soldier is going to benefit from this. And maybe Soldier will actually be a little bit more... I don't know, maybe Soldier will get buffed in some ways because Soldier is about that sustained DPS. If he's attacking another DPS and hitting them with little bits of chip damage, that's going to prevent them triggering their passive. So then maybe he's better in the duel. And also remember, he's got a heal anyway he can put on the floor. So I don't know. This is all by the by, and we don't really know what direction this is going to go. But I think it is very clear from what we've seen that Aaron Keller is making moves here. Very vocal moves to just straight up say, we are here to make this game better for the way people are playing it right now. Not to try and force an idealistic view of some team-based shooter. Okay, let's move on here and take a look at this. So this is the Reddit post on competitive Overwatch from Dante. So a user obviously posted his tweet up, and there's a bit of discussion here, and I think some of it's quite interesting. So this post is a top post, and this does make sense. So listen to this. One of the most popular points I see made on here in educational content is that ladder comms are actually useless, not that important, / sometimes counterproductive. They are usually found as a response to a typical uninformed comment from low elo players that I bet the comms in GM are great. But what nobody talks about is that hard comming in ranked in any elo makes winning feel more rewarding and makes losing feel not as bad. Not sure if there's a metric for this aspect of what was lost between Overwatch 1 and Overwatch 2, but this one def hits hard for me. So this is almost like a bit of MMO crossover here. Like years ago, I used to play a game called EverQuest, and I used to play EverQuest 2, and I was a raid leader for a while, and we were the best guild in the world in EverQuest 2 for over a year. We got loads of world first kills. It was amazing. I was the main tank. But being the raid leader in that environment was like you're constantly talking, and it makes it feel better, right? Also, games like PlanetSide. I really enjoyed PlanetSide 2 for the same reasons. I had an outfit back in the day, and when there was hundreds of people in it, and it was like we all used to get in the galaxies, and I wasn't even really involved in the combat that often. I'd be like being ferried around by other soldiers in the outfit, but I'm directing the attacks. I'm like going, we need to take this outpost, we need to get air support over there, we need tanks over here, you know, that kind of thing. It feels great, and it's like a reward that you can't really get from just focusing on the game. It's really hard to explain, so I can kind of understand that in relation to this comment here. But This thing here of don't use voice comms because it's just going to distract you. It is true, and it's crazy because you've got to think about this. If you are just purely playing Overwatch and playing what is in front of you, working on mastering the skills of your hero, and remember, being a one trick literally will get you up the ladder faster. And you're focusing on that, and you're getting the basics down, and you're not overcomming, right? You're not talking about everything, you know. And then you start adding comms into your game that are good critical comms. So let's say, like, you know, the example of Tracer's used rewind, Tracer no rewind. That's good information for your team because anyone now knows, oh, we can pressure Tracer. If we see her, she's not going to have rewind for a few seconds. That's kind of good quality comms. Bad quality comms would be just talking all the time about everything. There are players that do that, but, you know. So, interesting post, to be honest. I think there was another one down here which I wanted to check out. It might be in another post. I'm getting a bit confused, but I think it was in this one. Let me have a look. Feeling like it's not now. I'm feeling like I've gone down too far. I feel like I've gone down too far. Yeah, I've gone down too far. I think it's another post, actually. But we can jump over to... where was the other one? I think the other one was the... Yeah. So the other one is this, right? So this post has got a bit of discussion about the post from Guru on Twitter. And there's a bit of discussion here. And I think... well, we'll just go through this. I think this is where I remember some good bits and pieces. But if not, we can just take a snapshot of what people are reacting to anyway. So this person's interested in Season 9, but they don't think it'll be as big as this guy says. You know... it depends what the comp system looks like, doesn't it? Because if the comp system is really like super engaged and people want to play with it, then you might see like a resurgence of players. We also don't know what the balance patches are coming with this season as well. We don't know if there's any hero reworks, but we do know that the heal passive is going to be available for DPS. So we're going to be in a world where DPS is like they get giga buffed. It's interesting, isn't it? This person just basically saying he's got to get in the developers' good graces. Okay. I don't think the developers care about anybody. And I don't think content creators care about being in the good graces of developers. I mean, I certainly don't. I just say what I want. You know what I mean? You've got to be true to yourself. I mean, maybe really small content creators might, I don't know, suck up to developers, whatever. I'm not sure. But you've just got to keep things real. It's the best way to live your life. Anyway, remember the 140 character limit? I shouldn't use this thread. Okay, I don't think this is... I think I've totally lost the plot here. If I'm honest, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, no. It was this one. It was a deathmatch comment. So, yeah, I just worry that the game is going to devolve into every game being deathmatch. So the point is, so DPS can do their own thing without their team and play solo, and that supports can spend more time DPSing. Is that what support players want? I love Kiriko's playstyle, so this player clearly wants that. Heavy healing, good at dueling, occasionally getting good headshots between heal bursts. What do heroes like Mercy and Lifeweaver, or where do they fit into this? I like the teamwork aspect of the game, and I worry that this is going to turn into a game I don't want to play. But you're already playing the game without the teamwork, without the voice comms. That's the thing, isn't it? You know, I think a lot of this would have been, you know, this could have been a moment where if this is what they're doing, the developers, if this is the direction Aaron and the team are taking the game in now, if they did make a developer update video and just straight up said, let me show you some statistics, let me show you the realities of this game. This is what we're doing. People generally play solo. People don't like it when teams don't play together. So what we're going to do is reduce the frustration of needing your teammates to bail you out, needing that heal when you're DPS on the flanks, needing that, you know, other support to heal you. Well, actually, I guess that really didn't count because support, I've always had the self-heal passive, but you get where I'm going with this, guys. Maybe they just needed to be a bit more brutal, a bit more direct. I don't know. It's going to be interesting times, though. And I'm going to leave this at that. We could talk about this forever and ever and ever. Let me know what you think about this in the comments below, though, guys, because this is it's one hell of a topic, and I think finally I'm starting to get my head around this, and I think maybe other players are as well, and maybe the developers are actually on the precipice of pushing the game into a really strong direction, or of course this could all just blow up. Who knows? All right, everybody, thank you for listening and watching the video. I've been Stylosa, and I'll catch you lovely lot on the next video. See you soon.